So the Super Saiyan 2 Goku and TEQ Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta have finally gotten their Extreme Z Awakenings, and we're going to be showing them off today. In this video specifically, the TEQ Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that transforms into Majin Vegeta will be the focus, and in a separate one we'll look at the Super Saiyan 2 Goku. Now, these are highly anticipated EZAs. They've been sitting there for a while, but I actually don't really think they held back on them for the most part. I'm especially a huge fan of this Vegeta, so, as always, we'll cover him in terms of his full details, his teams, hidden potential. Then at the end of the video, we'll look at him in some of the hardest fights in the game. And again, if you did enjoy the video, feel free to go ahead and let me know your favorite part of Majin Vegeta's performance. But we'll go ahead and hop right into his details. Since there's a lot to cover for this guy, we'll hop right into it with Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. His leader skill is Super Saiyan 2 or Resurrect to Warriors categories, Key 3 and 170% to stats. It could be worse, but you're realistically not ever running him as a leader. Not really ideal. His passive skill, he gets Key 2 and 150% attack and defense start of turn. Then he gets 30% damage reduction start of turn. No conditions, right? So already just as a start, we do like the 30% damage reduction. He gets an additional attack boost up to 120%. The more HP remaining, the greater the attack boost. And if HP is 50% or more, he has a 70% chance to launch an additional super attack. So again, these are all start of turn determinations. So even if you fall, under 50% HP during the turn, you will actually not lose the great chance to launch an additional super, or his attack buff isn't going to actually change through the turn. Now, speaking of a defense boost on top of that, he gets an additional defense boost up to 120%. The less HP remaining, the greater the defense boost. And if HP is 50% or less, he does guard all attacks. Again, this is dependent on your start of turn HP, so even if you fall under 50% HP during the fight, you shouldn't guard all attacks. Now, there are situations where, like in future, Gohan does gain damage reduction in the middle of the rotation, but usually most characters don't work like that, so this guy shouldn't guard in the middle of the turn. Now, if there is a Majin Buu Saga category ally attacking in the same turn, or a Majin Buu Saga category enemy, he does change a random type of key sphere to rainbow key spheres. Rainbow orb changing will be very, very valuable. Then if you obtain a rainbow key sphere, he gets an additional 20% damage reduction. So that totals out to 50% total if we look back to his previous 30%, which is really nice to see. He gets 120% attack and defense when attacking with 3 more key spheres collected. Then of course, he receives a boost from Babidi sorceries when conditions are met. His super attack effect, he gets 30% attack and defense for 1 turn and causes immense damage to enemy. So this guy is doing quite a bit with the rainbow orb changing, 50% reduction. He has some nice multiplicative buffs, could get multiple supers in the turn. What I would say is I'm not 100% sure how tanky this character will be just looking at his initial details if he's above 50% HP. But if you do enter the turn under 50% HP and he's guarding, I don't even really see anything killing him. It just, early on, let's say you enter with this guy in turn 1, you're at full HP, so he's not going to have a lot of that defense boost he could receive. So even with 50% reduction, I could see him potentially dying to some of these mega super attacks like Gogeta and Janemba. But, he does have the transformation available to him. Now, his link set is Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyan, Saiyan Pride, Royal Lineage, Prepared for Battle, Supreme Power, and Fierce Battle. Now, the reason why I'm reading this out is because it changes once he actually transforms into Majin Vegeta. He receives a boost from Babidi sorcery when facing one enemy whose HP is 50% or more, starting from the 3rd turn from start of battle. Now, just reading it sounds like a very tedious transformation condition, but realistically it's not too bad. Most of the time you're facing one enemy in the most difficult fights. Most of the time you're going to get to turn 3. It's the HP 50% or more that could potentially be an issue, but I think it's way less tedious compared to how it was with 80% or more. That was definitely an issue. if this guy ends up being on the off rotation, as we call it, where it's after the boss, you know, you do damage to the boss on the first rotation of that phase, then you can get to an issue where this guy doesn't transform. But if you are able to transform this character to Majin Vegeta, he's really insane. Now again, he does change Prepared for Battle to Over in a Flash, and he also goes from Super Class to Extreme Class. That could be an issue because of characters like Ultimate Gohan on the Majin Buu team. He wants full Super Class rotation. There's a lot of these characters that are supporting just Super Class and Extreme Class specifically. They really want to kind of take this Majin Buu Saga team into different Super Class and Extreme Class variants. So this guy becoming Extreme Class could hurt a little bit with certain conditions. And especially because you're going to be running him on the Saiyan variant, which is all Super Class. So that's the only issue that you could run into. But this guy is, I would say, probably just more worth running over a character like Ultimate Gohan. So he gets Key 3 and 200% attack and defense, and then he gets 33% damage reduction. He gets 150% additional attack boost based on having more HP remaining. Then if HP is 50% or more, he now launches a guaranteed additional super. Then he gets an additional defense boost up to 150% based off of lower HP. He gets a greater defense boost. Then again, if HP is 50% or less, he guards all attacks. Very, very similar. Additional now is a guaranteed super, which we definitely like to see. It just extra damage reduction and stats. He still does Rainbow Orb change if there's another Majin Buu Saga ally in the same turn or a Majin Buu Saga enemy. He then now gets 33% damage reduction with the Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. So again, he goes from a total of 50% damage reduction to a total of 66%, which is really good. He gets 130% attack and defense when attacking, and attacks effective against all types with 3 more Key Spheres obtained. Then he gets 66% additional attack and defense when attacking, and he guaranteed guards with 6 or more Key Spheres obtained. Now that is huge. Again, pre-EZA he always had the guard with 6 or more Key Spheres, but he didn't have 66% damage reduction or Rainbow Orb changing. So now he's going to be very consistent getting those 6 Key Spheres because you're going to be running him on the Buu Saga team most likely, and he's not only super effective, but again, guarding plus 66% reduction. Pre-super attack, it might be a little difficult for him to tank certain supers potentially. I haven't used them in game just yet, but I would say post super attack, once he gets the 196% attack and defense when attacking, plus his super attack effect, he should be more than fine with guard and 66% reduction. His super attack is the Final Flash. He greatly raises attack and defense one turn, causes immense damage, and has a 70% chance to stun. That is a 50% attack and defense raise for the turn. So, I mean, yeah, this guy, once he's transformed, very consistently getting the 6 Key Spheres. I don't see a situation where he's dying. Then he even will do some pretty nice damage if he's at a higher HP level, considering that he's also super effective and could just triple super attack. Like, this guy looks really good. Now, in terms of his categories, he's on Majin Buu Saga, Pure Saiyans, Vegeta's Family, Super Saiyan 2, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, Uncontrollable Power, Corroded Body and Mind, Mastered Evolution, Worthy Rivals, Gifted Warriors, and Resurrected Warriors. Now again, those are a lot of different category teams. The main teams I see this guy being ran on is just Super Saiyan 2. You could throw him on Uncontrollable Power. You could make an extreme class kind of variant of that with Buuhan, Int Buu, this guy, and you have a couple of Majin Buu Saga characters kind of floating around on that team. That could be a nice little setup you run. Could be really cool. Vegeta's Family could be a little bit of an issue unless we see the LR Angel Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta EZA. I don't really see this character like having the ability to do well, since there's not really a Rainbow Orb changer on that team at the top of my head. And again, this guy would really like to get his 6 Key Spheres, but he is mostly restricted to wanting Majin Buu Saga characters around him. So, you know, I don't really see him being ran on some of these other teams potentially. Not that they really have good leaders right now, but if you get any future team that you would like to use Vegeta on, but there's no Buu Saga allies, it would suck and it might restrict him. But, you know, we'll see how things go from there. Now, in terms of hidden potential system for this character, I think there are some different avenues you can go with. If we look at additionals, this guy does have the 70% additional super in his normal Super Saiyan 2 form. Then when he becomes Majin Vegeta, he launches a guaranteed additional super. I feel like additional is not really necessary to put a lot on this guy, just because since he has those 2 attacks already, he's gonna be proccing that hidden potential system additional at a higher rate. In terms of critical hits, this guy in his base form doesn't have any built-in crit, and when he's Majin Vegeta, he also does not have any critical hits in there. He is a defensive type unit for the most part, but he also has super effective against all types. As a tech unit though, you could pretty easily give him some extra crit in there, so I think if you want to kind of squeeze some more damage out of this guy, he is more than tanky, I would say, so doesn't necessarily need dodge. So if you kind of want to build a more offensive variant of the team, I think crit is actually not even a bad option for this guy at all. Then further than that, we have dodge. I think dodge in this guy, you could view him again as a defensive character. So if you're running him in slot 1, especially if you consider, you know, future proofing this character as a slot 1 kind of character, right? When bosses eventually will hit harder before he gets a super attack off, right? In that situation, you could say, hey, you know, dodge could save me still 300k, 400k HP for the next turn. Keep this Majin Vegeta getting his additional super attack in future turns, right? Especially the super class Buu Saga team doesn't really have healing. And again, you could run this guy in the extreme class variant of the Majin Buu Saga team where there is a lot of healing going around, but it depends on, again, how you will view this character as, you know, more of a, he's defensive enough, I want to squeeze more offense, or I want to maximize his defense. You could really go either way. I would say between crit and dodge could be the main focus, and additional will just be the side focus, just however you want to take him. I think both are realistically equally viable because, again, like I said, he's going to be more than tanky, but he's also going to be doing quite a bit of damage regardless. Now, starting off with the Gogeta fights with Vegeta, things didn't really go that well. To be honest with y'all, we had a lot of situations where Vegeta was very able to tank normals. In my opinion, that is a bare minimum situation, but in terms of super attacks, I mean, a clip should likely be playing on the screen. This guy is not able to eat these super attacks in Super Saiyan 2. Now, of course, if you enter the turn under 50% HP, that is definitely a different story, but it's not something that you can commonly ask for to happen because of how hard this Gogeta hits. It's gonna be more certain than not that if you get hit with a super that takes you under 50% HP, you're probably gonna be close to dying, if not dead anyways. So you're just gonna be in a very dangerous spot. Now, in terms of his damage, it's actually not bad at all when he's Super Saiyan 2. He was doing upwards of, like, you know, 16 to 18 mil in his first super, and, you know, at certain times when he does get a triple super attack off, I've seen this guy hit 20 mil in Super Saiyan 2 specifically, right? I'm not sure if it was specifically in the Gogeta fight or the Janemba fight, right? We'll have clips of that fight too later on. But overall, Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, I feel like he's just kind of open in this fight. And I've had multiple runs where I just had issues getting Vegeta to transform, whether it's the units around him potentially dying or him straight up dying. I mean, there's 2 instances where Vegeta in this run took 1 million plus damage super attacks from Gogeta. He just got instantly sniped. You know, someone in my chat, even, you know, as I was doing this live, was like, it's kind of like TEQ Broly, and in that situation, yeah, where I feel like even though he has the 50% reduction, the Rainbow Orb changing, all that's great, he just does not have the defense, right? You see, starter turn defense is about 200k or less, and he just does not have the defense capabilities without that guard to tank these 4 million damage super attacks short events, right? Now, when you're able to get Majin Vegeta out, this guy is of course able to do more than fine. He starts to explode really well in damage, and he's able to eat TEQ Gogeta super attack extremely nicely, especially because you can't even transform until turn 3. There's at that point not really going to be an issue for especially Vegeta with his guard and 66% damage reduction. He's not going to have any issues tanking a super attack, and he'll be able to kind of melt down the rest of Gogeta's HP. But you kind of do have to work around that and try to stall for it, or in this case I used Fat Boo. I used Fat Boo's revive and kind of like cheesed through it so that, okay, we got to turn 3 without doing too much damage to Gogeta. I feel like it could be an issue, right? And you know, using his teams here, Super Saiyan 3 Goku's team, he doesn't fit that 200%, so it's like I kind of had to run Int Fat Boo as my leader to get him to his full abilities. Int Broly is an issue in this fight because his domain not only does a lot of damage to movie hero characters, but on top of that, it is an attack in itself that will do type advantage damage, and it keeps Gogeta from nullifying supers. So if you want to stall a little, Int Broly seems not really the best here, but that's Vegeta specifically in the Gogeta fight. Again, not really a huge fan of him here, just because I feel like it's gonna be a little difficult to actually get this guy to transform. Now, in terms of the Janemba fight, had a lot easier of a time. I mean, by first run, I got in Fat Boo to just instantly get one shot, and then the next turn we became Majin Vegeta. And again, I think just really when you get Majin Vegeta out, he has no issues. He's able to do so much damage here, and we're also able to use him on the Int Broly team, I think, a lot more effectively. Since Janemba is physical, and Broly's active skill won't do a lot of damage, and you know, kind of like all the extra damage that Int Broly would be able to get from being type advantage, don't have to worry about that anymore. You know, in Fat Boo even could do some decent-ish damage to the Gogeta fight. Now, a lot of these characters that are very int heavy on this team, right? You're able to do well. And Majin Vegeta, man, he's hitting up to 30 mil attack stats with super effective against all types. He's obviously tanking super attacks very well. Like, he's just him. Like, in this fight, I just feel like since you're able to use him on Int Broly's team, it's pretty simple to get away with it. Now, you could run STR Broly like I was. STR Broly did die a few times, actually, so it could be a little dangerous, but you know, if you run units like Int Fat Boo, for example, on the team, right, you can have some Rainbow Orb changing available to you with this Vegeta. Keep in mind, Vegeta does want a Majin Buu Saga category character and rotation for Rainbow Orb changing, or Majin Buu Saga enemy. Neither of these fights, you know, in terms of Gogeta or Janemba, meet the condition though, so there are situations where you may not be able to get 6 Key Spheres if you're unable to set up orbs properly, or again, if you don't have just Majin Buu Saga characters for the Rainbow Orb changing. I could 100% see that as an issue, which, you know, does suck for this Vegeta, that he really badly wants the full, like, you know, kind of Majin Buu Saga team, because unless you're running double Int Buu, it's not really gonna be a consistent thing that you'll be able to get off, you know, especially here on the TEQ Broly team, like I'm saying. But other than that, again, I feel like Vegeta, just in normal Super Saiyan 2 himself, also is pretty, for the most part, underwhelming in this fight. I believe, you know, in terms of him getting super attacked, he would, of course, just get instantly one shot, right? Not really anything that you could do to kind of circumvent that. I mean, I even had a turn where he got triple super attack off, and then I was like, oh, maybe he'll eat this, and no, actually, he takes more damage against Janemba than he did against Gogeta. So that pure 50% defense lower was definitely a huge mess for him. But I think you could, you know, this Int Broly team kind of maneuver around getting Majin Vegeta a lot easier out in this fight at the very least. So you're able to kind of cook with him. I did like him a lot more here in this specific situation. Now for the Goku Frieza fight, you could also run the in Broly team, but I actually decided to go with the TEQ Vegeta team, the same day transforming Vegeta. I think they link incredibly well, and you know, you may be thinking, oh, you can't really get Rainbow Orb Changers Rainbow Orb Changer with Vegeta on this team specifically, but you're actually also able to get some other Rainbow Orb Changers such as TEQ Super Gogeta, Physical Blue Gogeta if you want to run him as well. But you know, you could just throw some Majin Buu Saga characters on there. The, again, Kamehameha leader Super Saiyan Gohan from Worldwide, you know, that guy with the family Kamehameha, pretty good option you could throw on here. You could throw Goten and Trunks if you want to. You know, I actually threw S tier Super Vegeta on here just as a floater, since he does have type advantage and damage reduction in the physical phase, right? And it's pretty easy to transform Vegeta. Again, even in the TEQ 17 phase, I don't think Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta will be really having issues. And for the most part, I think that you're able to get Majin Vegeta out. Even by that phase, I mean, in my runs, I actually got him out by that TEQ 17 phase. But I think for sure by the physical 17 and Frieza phase, unless you get really unlucky, you will likely have Majin Vegeta out, which is definitely a major plus. And I mean, in these runs, I didn't really have a situation where Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta got sniped like the other shorter events. And of course, Majin Vegeta does more than enough, again, especially once he is able to super attack. Now, pre-super attack, I think in the final part of the fight could be an issue, right? We saw him take 270k or so from the Goku Frieza super itself. Now, that is the pre-extra attack buff when they're under the 50% HP. And I've seen TEQ Beers with higher defense and slightly less reduction, but the higher defense take 600k from that super attack. And Majin Vegeta, again, even though he has the extra 6% reduction, he does not have nearly as much starter turn defense. So I think in a lot of situations, if not most situations, Majin Vegeta will actually end up dying to Goku and Frieza when they're under the 50% HP threshold. But I also see Majin Vegeta doing nearly triple 30 mil attack stats, and he's super effective against all types. So he's usually able to just break through the damage barrier that Goku and Frieza has, and just like absolutely melt like multiple, like up to 4, even like 3-4 bars of their HP. So it's like he's able to push through for you very, very nicely. And then, you know, you can get like the active skill for the TEQ transforming Vegeta and a lot of these other characters. Again, if you're running that Gohan, you could get the family Kamehameha off potentially. In this specific, you know, team build, there's some extreme class characters that'll pop up and kind of hurt his viability. But again, TEQ Super Gogeta, another character, you could just kind of plop in slot 1, keep Majin Vegeta slot 2, and then the damage will just keep rolling. So honestly, this team build works very well, and I would say this is Majin Vegeta's best fight, which is a good thing because I think the Goku Frieza fight is the hardest fight in the game. So him having a really good spot here, I think, is very, very nice to see. But from here, that is all there is to see about the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that transforms into Majin Vegeta. I do like him quite a bit, honestly. I think that it is an issue in those shorter events if you don't have the guard. You know, under 50% HP start of turn, he will just straight up die to Super Gogeta or Super Janemba. But he does have his ways to get that transformation off, and once you get in Majin Vegeta, man, he is absolutely absurd. But I want to hear from you guys. What's your thoughts on this transforming Vegeta into Majin Vegeta? Thanks all for watching, and I guess I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.